Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. It's been a while since we've talked about budget travel tips. Things for like how do you save money on airfare, lodging, car rental, some of the big things that honestly take a chunk of our travel dollars. So I had gone back out to the internet today and I have some favorites that I've used. I've got some friends here, Debra, Barb, and Darcie, and I'm sure they've got some tips. So welcome everyone.
Hello. Thank you.
So we'll go around the room quick, and if everyone just wants to say their first name and where they're joining from, and then we'll kind of go down kind of the topics of the different budget tips and share. So do you want to start, Deborah? Where are you joining from
Oh,
today?
yes. I'm Debra, and I'm joining from Missouri City, which is a suburb of Houston, Texas.
Wonderful, thanks. Barb?
Hi, I'm Barb Bear, who can't get my camera to work. I am joining from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, where April has been to. A great city.
Thanks, Barb.
Barb.
And Darcy?
Hello, everyone. I'm Darcy, and I'm in beautiful Pacific Northwest in the state of Oregon. So we're kind of from all over the place here, aren't
I
we?
know, yes, this is
Yeah.
fun. I love it. So let's talk about saving money on places to stay. I think that's kind of a big area where we can kind of look for ways to save some money. So I'm actually going to start with Barb since she's here today because she turned me on. I haven't actually used it. It's called evergreenclub.com, and I made a spreadsheet, so anyone that's participating today, I'll send out the sheet with the notes and include the links in the show notes. So Barb, tell us about the Evergreen Club.
Well, Evergreen is not the one I belong to. What I belong
Okay.
to is Affordable Travel Club, the Affordable
Affordable
Travel
Travel
Club.
Club. Okay.
And I belonged for a few years. Um, you go through sort of a vetting process. I think it cost about $60 a year to join. Your name goes on this directory. You can go on the directory online and find out where other members live. And if you are going through a certain area, like people have come through Eau Claire, they will email me a few days ahead of time and ask if I am available to host them. And been able to host everybody but one person that's come through. The other person I was going to be out of town. But I haven't been able to travel a lot due to a knee replacement, but it's been a wonderful experience for me to meet people from around the world. Um, you pay $20 a night to stay in somebody's home. They
Mm.
usually fix you breakfast. If you go out to eat for supper, it's supposed to be Dutch treat, although one gentleman insisted on buying my meal because he said it'll look like I'm on a date and I'm too cheap to pay for you. So we were not dating, but he bought me dinner. And I've shown the other people different things around the area that they might not find on regular travel places. The park that we went to and concerts. There are free concerts every night in Eau Claire during the summer. So I've met a lady, a couple of people from Canada, a lady originally born in China, a lady who lives in France, gentleman who lives in Florida. So um, for me, since I've been unable to really travel, it's been a great experience to meet people, and they always say, come and stay with me sometime. So I've got all these invitations, but the $20 a night is usually a lot cheaper than any place else, and they're nice homes. And so I found that to be very helpful and money saving.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Some of the other ones, of course, are Airbnb. I've used that a lot. especially if you've got a couple, a small group. Sometimes that's really a great way. Sometimes if you read through the listings, there'll be a room somewhere, so you're actually staying inside someone's home in a room. But oftentimes these places are really well located. One year, a group of us stayed on a lake in Montana, and each of us had a room. We had a patio. We could walk right to the lake. We saw a bear. It was just pretty amazing. Yeah. So I love Airbnb. That's one of my favorites. So
Well,
how about you ladies before I share the rest of my list?
well, I was going to suggest this for talking about places to stay is Facebook may sound a little strange, but if you join Facebook groups for things that you're interested in, like I have to say this because it makes me laugh. There's a Facebook group in Australia called Crap Bird Photography. And it's for all of those photos that didn't quite turn out right about bird. And I've gotten to know a lot of people from Australia and around the world because even though it started in Australia, it's become worldwide. And so I talk to a lot of people in there, but there's a lot of travel buddy Facebook groups, and you have to be really careful with those because the first one I joined turned out to be a scam site. So we started our own. Some of us from that group were like, okay, fine. So we just started our own. But there's also a few groups, host a sister groups, and that would be for, all of us gals. And those Facebook groups are really nice because they connect people from all over the world. You obviously want to do vid chats with them and talk to them and get to know them first so you know who you're really staying with. And you post on these sites, hey, I'm going to be here at this time. Is there anybody there that can host me? And it's totally free. Obviously, you want to, thank your host and buy groceries or take them out to eat or whatever. But they, as Barb, I can't see the names, as Barbara was saying, they will show you around different places. And a lot of people have posted on the Host a Sister group that I'm in that they call them success stories. So they post pictures and they say, hey, I made this friend and I stayed with this person 5 times over 10 years and we've become really good friends. So it's a really good way to travel the world and meet people from these different countries or different states. I've got one in Kentucky that I'm going to try to use at some point because that's one of the 14 states I was telling you I haven't been to.
Yeah.
So it sounds strange meeting people on Facebook, but if you're careful, you can really connect with some people in these Facebook groups, and then your stay is essentially free and you really get a sense of the life in whatever city, town, or country you're going to.
Yeah. That's a good tip. Yeah. That's
And I'm a lot of people aren't going to be like this one, but I do have another one that I wanted
no,
to
no,
share.
no. That's okay.
I stay in hostels and pubs when I can. We don't have the pubs here in the US, but there's a few hostels. They're not as good apparently as ones in Europe. I stayed in one hostel with my grandmother, my 75-year-old grandmother. No, wait, she was 79 at the time. And we stayed in hostels and pubs in Australia, and she had a ball. And a lot of times you can get private rooms, and they are a lot less than a hotel room. And one of the ones we stayed in the Barrier Reef area in Australia was nicer than some of the hotels I've stayed in. So again, you have to do a lot of research.
No, hostels are good. There's I think hostel is HI. I'll put it. I had it already on my list, but look at
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hostel International. But there's one also in the United States, and one of them you can stay at a lighthouse up on the California coast. I
Oh, I
mean,
want to do that.
who wouldn't want to do that? And I've actually walked by the one that's in Santa Monica, California, and it's well located. So again, just do your research. A lot of them, I met some of the people that work at the one that's connected in the United States, and again, ask questions. Can you get a private room? Find out what the age. You can ask questions, or find out a little more information before you book it.
Well, and a lot of people think they took the youth hostel. Most of them are not called youth hostels anymore. They're just hostels. And
Right.
everyone can stay there. As I said, I mean, this was 98. Ooh, dating myself. This was 98 when my grandmother and I stayed there. And there were people from all different ages there. So it was fun. We met a lot of people, and and it was pretty inexpensive. And of course, the other thing is off season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So especially in Europe, apparently, which I've only done once, so I'm no expert on that one.
Right. And then there's also, even in the States, like the Facebook groups you mentioned, there's, in different meetup groups, and a lot of the meetup groups now are private. So, again, talk to the admin of the group. A lot of those groups, they, especially if it's travel related, they want to, I mean, that's the whole thing. They want to connect people. So, again, connecting someone with Barb, who's in Wisconsin, with you if you're in Oregon, vice versa, you have an extra bed or an extra room. I mean, you can probably stay for quite a bit cheaper than you would normally pay for a hotel room.
And my other one is travel with someone. Share the expenses. I don't mind going places by myself, and I'm good with that because I do that a lot when I'm researching for my tours, even though I'm grew up here and I've been here forever, but I still do research for my tours, and I don't mind going by myself, but some places are just really expensive. Like this trip I'm doing to Alaska this month, I have nowhere to stay. Um, they don't really do off-season rates that much, so I'm trying to find someone that wants to share a room that has the same ideas as I do, that say wants to go here and there, and that's there's the travel buddy Facebook and meetup pages are good for find someone to travel with to help with those costs.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Darcie, if you're on one of the Facebook groups, a lot of times before you join the Facebook group, you can see who the admin is, you can see where the group is based out of. I mean, do a little research. How long has the group been around? I mean, if it's fairly new and it looks like most of the people are maybe from another country, that might not be the best fit if you're wanting to travel within the United States or connect with people in the United States, like you're doing. Another one, if you are able to drive like the small campers, there's a site called imova.com. And like right now, you can go, maybe get a cheap air ticket to Montana, and they've got a bunch of campers for $1 a night that they want moved to another city. They're shifting places that are going to get too cold for people, and they're going to move those campers to other parts of the country. So for, like $1 a night, I mean, I'm tempted to do it myself. If you gotta know how to hook up your camper, or be good with camping, putting your camper somewhere where then you go use a public restroom, or something like that.
And that's another one is if you're not a tent camper, but you really kind of want to go cheap, yurts in state parks are great.
Oh yeah.
And some of them have cabins, so they're about $60 a night depending on what state, 60, 65. And they have heat and beds, and most of them don't have kitchens, but they have electricity. You still have to go outside to use the restrooms and the showers, but it's all electric. It's real bathrooms and things. So that is another option for traveling within the United States. And I don't know what it is in other countries because I've never done it, but I'd like to. So I do like to stay in yurts. They're comfy. if I'm driving to them, I have all my stuff in my car, so I have my extra chair that I can sit in instead of the wooden chairs they have at their little tables.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. That's really good. So, Deborah, did you have some suggestions for lodging, some savings tips?
Uh, Not well. Once I did stay, uh, a, a family had a room that was had a connecting restroom that they rented out. Uh, and so I did that one year. It wasn't very far outside of Houston, but so yeah, I rented that. I was going to do some sightseeing around the area, but the lady fell and broke her arm like 2 days before I was to get there. And of course, then they were going on a vacation to Colorado, and she couldn't go, and they were so apologetic. Uh, but I went anyway, and to make up for what they felt like was inconvenience for me, her husband cooked every night.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
And so and he was an excellent cook. So I could go out and get my breakfast in the morning, do some sightseeing, and come back to some wonderful food every evening. And of course, one evening I went to a restaurant that was famous in that area. And so it turned out to be great. It
Oh,
turned out to
that's
be
good.
really, really nice. So I said I would try to do that again, maybe not with that same family, but yeah, that's what I went to Pensacola a couple weeks ago, and we rented a condo on the beach. So that was nice. And it is nice to be able to go with someone to share the cost, because it was not affordable just for me. Although I was going by myself, I insisted on treating myself for my birthday, but I went with my cousin. And so then it made it quite affordable. And we had a good time.
well, happy late birthday.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you very
nice.
much. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
And when Deborah was talking about the condo and that person's house, something else came into my mind. Now, this is not something that I would be able to do in my apartment. And I don't know that I would be comfortable with it, but there are sites, and some of the people on the Hostess Sister site do this, where they do house switches
Right.
Yeah.
or house trades or something like that. I don't know how those work. I don't know anything about them, but that's an option for some people
Yeah.
to do that. Have any of you done that?
No.
No.
I have not, but the Affordable Travel Club posts house trades and pet sitting and plant sitting. So if people are going someplace and would like somebody to watch their pets, you can post on the directory and get information that way too.
What was the name of that again?
It's called the Affordable Travel Club.
Affordable, okay.
And I know there are quite a few members out in the northwest part of the country. So there might be some around you.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Well, for me, the pet sitting would be the perfect, because then I get a pet. I get to have all the loves from the fluffy and a place to stay too.
Yeah,
Right.
Win for me.
yeah, you should join. There's a couple sites I'll include in the listing about pet sitting because if you're comfortable like taking care of dogs, because a lot of people that have pets, it's expensive to board them, and if
Mhm.
they can afford to have someone come in and just stay at their house, it's not as disruptive to their pet. Sometimes they have
Right.
older dogs, then and it's also someone's watching their house. There's activity, you're coming and going. And you get the benefit of maybe staying in a really nice place in a neighborhood that you might not have gotten to visit.
And
Right.
snuggles.
Yeah. So it's a win-win, So yeah.
That's the important part for me, the snuggles.
The snuggles, yeah. Yeah. So that one was another one I had on mine was the pet sitting. Because some people, house sitting, it's like most of the time the people that want someone to house sit have pets, so you might as well just call it
Right.
pet sitting.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there, I think with Barbara, are there Are there sites, are any of you aware of, I mean, I know there are other sites for specifically that pet sitting or house sitting as a way of a vacation? I know there's has to be some, but I don't know any names of them or anything.
Yeah, I gotta look them up because I didn't write them down, but I know a couple of ladies that have been on this site before. They've actually done it. That's a lot of times how they kind of move from place to place. They put their stuff in storage and they'll go to a destination for, a month, and then they'll go somewhere else because they're around the world. So once you
Yeah.
got, the thing is to set up a profile, Darcie, and maybe do it locally, just so you
Right.
get a couple reviews from people so they know that you're an honest, sweet person that's going to take care of their things.
Who can not like this?
Right.
You know?
And there's a couple, in fact, I did a video with a woman, I can't remember, I think she's in California. And like she said, for her, meeting the homeowner, if possible, either again on a video chat or just, vetting as far as, knowing someone knows their type of pet. Because some pets are pretty particular depending on your dog breed or if it's a particular cat or, different.
Well, and the vetting goes both directions, and we've talked about this in other videos, is that, and we hit on it earlier, and this one is, everyone needs to do their research on both sides, whether you're the sitter or the person that is letting someone into their home, because you really don't want to just let some strange person in your home, and you don't really want to stay in someone's home that you're not really comfortable with that person, or it is sometimes something just seems off. And I would say if that's the case, don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Especially for us women alone.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. As a woman, I think we need to just even be more careful.
Right.
I know Barb has told me, and she'll probably agree, that when she signed up for the Affordable Travel Club, her sons were like, "What? You're gonna have strangers stay in your house?"
Right.
I have an overly protective son and another overly protective daughter-in-law, and she suggested I keep a hammer by my bed, and my son was going to check. But the Affordable Travel Club, you have to provide a lot of information, and I feel comfortable that people are vetted pretty well. I will never get my kids to feel like I'm not going off being crazy or something, but it was sort of funny.
Well, and I think too with the one that Barb mentioned, I mean, and it is kind of that one, like it has a fee, you have to pay to be a member. So that in itself a little bit,
Yeah.
helps hopefully weed out some of the.
Yeah.
Well, and then the I think she said it was $20 a night for staying somewhere. That also offsets the owner of the place's extra electric or water or whatever.
Yeah.
Food maybe.
Yeah. And you show your membership card when you come in. So it's not just a stranger coming in, and you can look up in the directory, you can know where they're from and what their job is, or, things, and what their interests are. So, yeah, I feel pretty safe with that, although my son and daughter-in-law will never feel safe with me having strangers in my home. That's their problem.
Right.
And there's another, a friend of mine, and my dad used to do this too. There's camping clubs, like what do you call it? Thousand Trails. And it's more for people that aren't really into camping, but they either have an RV or they want to stay in cabins. They're always really close to a town, or it's not like they're out in the boonies or anything. But for some people, especially if you have your own RV, those type of things, and I know there's other camping clubs. I can only think of that one off the top of my head because my friend has a membership to that. And that is a way for people to be able to get out and about. And Thousand Trails has campgrounds that all over the country, and a couple of them in Canada. So you can, if you're just within the United States, you can travel a lot. And I don't know if other countries have anything like that, but that would be something interesting to find out. Um, and I know that Thousand Trails had, I'm not trying to push Thousand Trails. That's just the only one I can
Oh,
think.
no.
It's just the only one I can think of off the top of my head. They have a new thing now where you pay so much a year and you can stay in the cabins, but you have to read the small print. Yeah, you have to read the small print because you only get so many days, and it's like $1,500 a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but no, if you have your own oh no, that's the cabin part. The tent, if you have your own RV or tent, it's something like 600 a year, but I'm sure that there are other ones. And the tent camping one, if you pay the whatever amount it is, and then the camping is free.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, the camping is free. So I'm not aware of anything. What's that one,
There's-
KOA, something like that?
yeah, there's KOA, but I think anyone can pretty much stay there. You
Yeah.
just pay when
Yeah.
you show up. Like even if you're a car camper, because some people set
Right.
up, to camp kind of in their car and then use the
Definitely.
showers and the things like that, then it's another
Well, and
affordable.
I guess you can stay in Thousand Trails if you're not a member too in the cabins. They just charge you a lot more.
Oh, okay.
I did that one time when my friend and I got completely rained out. My tent leaked and it
Oh
was
no.
my birthday weekend, which is Memorial weekend. So it wasn't the best weekend. So I just worked out the money and said, I'm staying in the cabin the last night.
Wow. Yeah.
We got a kitchen and a real bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's always like the other hotel sites too, like some last minute sites if you're
Mhm.
eager to look last minute, they unload rooms at the last minute at, somewhat of a discounted price. Again, you kind of have to, I always say do your homework because some of those aggregators, they make it seem like you're saving, but if you actually call the hotel or go to the hotel website, a lot of times you can negotiate because I know I had a friend recently call a Holiday Inn in New England that I suggested she stay at, and the posted price was over $200 because it's autumn. But when she called, the lady at the front desk, took it down to a more reasonable price under 200. So
Yeah.
there's things like, and also, if you're over 55, a lot of times just letting them know that you're over 55, and asking, the simple question of picking up the phone
Mhm.
and asking, will you, do you have a discount for, over
Senior.
55 or AAA member, or if you're
Right.
ex-military or, those different
Sure.
things.
Yeah, pretty much everybody is having has military discounts. Some take ARP and some take AAA. So yeah, I was gonna suggest that. And what was the name of that one, April, that you just said?
I think it's hotels tonight or last minute rooms or something. I'll have to look it up. I had it on my list here, and so it's another one.
I mostly camp, so I don't know those places. And
Yeah.
a lot of what I like on the coast, they're all small independent, almost all independent places, and they're not part of those types of things.
And even like Airbnb, if you go on TripAdvisor, a lot of the room rentals and stuff end up showing up on sites like TripAdvisor. So again, reaching out, I know one year there was somewhere on the California coast I wanted to stay, and I looked in the area and there was lots of availability. I was like, you know what, why can't they knock this price down a little? So I just reached out to the owner and I said, you know what? This is who I am. There's a couple ladies. I usually come to this area. Is there anything you can do on the price? And so then she gave me a different price, and then she just had to go in on her side with the
Yeah.
Airbnb, app to adjust it, so it
Yeah.
doesn't hurt to ask,
Mhm.
And definitely watch for those hidden fees.
Yes.
I noticed on Airbnb when I was looking for this, trying to find someplace to stay in Anchorage and Seward, and in different ones, even though they're all Airbnb, some of them they had a cleaning fee, and then Airbnb takes a huge chunk. the smallest one was 59. One of them was 79.
Wow.
I thought that was rather high because that's going straight to Airbnb.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
with the millions of Airbnbs there are, somebody's making some money there.
Right. And that's why, again, sometimes if you just do, if you can find out something about the listing and do a Google search, sometimes they've listed it in other places and there
Right.
might be a way to reach out directly to the owner. And, I know you're not trying, it's not like you're trying to be sneaky, but you're just trying to,
Right.
help both parties, just tell the
Right.
owner, like, you're losing money here. Is there somehow we can facilitate this some other way? I don't know,
And I'm
Yeah.
on a couple of Airbnb Facebook groups, and there was actually a chat about that just today,
Oh,
about people trying to get around and the Airbnb fees. And this one gal was really having a problem with her client trying to around the Airbnb fees. And then other people were saying, well, those fees, for a
yeah,
lot of people, those fees make it so they don't get to go on their trip. And that's
right.
absolutely true. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Deborah. I think you were going to say something.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, that happened to me with the Airbnb that I rented in Pensacola. The price posted was probably $100 less than when I went in to pay.
Oh,
Oh,
And so I reached out to the owner and told her there was a discrepancy and could I please have the price that was posted? And she had no idea why it was posted one price versus another because I think it was just an error. So anyway,
oh,
I got it for the lesser price because the lesser price was posted.
right.
And so yeah, you're right. I probably could ask her for for some other kind of discount if I had been thinking about it because it was a month before my trip and no one had rented it. So
Right.
yeah,
right.
And that's kind of how I was with the one that I used on the California coast. It was kind of like, you know what? I can see there's a lot of availability here.
yeah,
Would you rather rent
right,
your place and have me use yours, or I can just go and use a
right,
hotel or use a different Airbnb,
right.
you know? So
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. Yeah. A
so for
lot in
some,
that area had been rented, but
some
not
people,
hers.
right,
And,
it doesn't
and
match
in
up.
some places, and this is more a European thing, I think. You can get like those hop on, hop off bus passes and the
Uh-huh.
museum passes and things. And sometimes those include a small discount on the local hotels. So, that's an option to check for that sort of thing. And I wonder, no, I'm just putting this out there. I wonder if what would come up if you just did a Google search for hotel discounts.
Sometimes, sometimes you'll get something, especially like, like right now is Labor Day weekend when we're recording this, and there's a lot of sites that are offering discounts. You just need the right code, whatever the word combination is to get that code. So it's worth a search. And the other thing I was going to mention too, is if you're having trouble in a certain area finding lodgings, a lot of the mom and pop places they can't afford to advertise and maybe they can't be on Airbnb. So reach out to the local chamber of commerce, like actually call the chamber of commerce, find an email address and email them and say, hey, I'm coming to Anchorage and I'm having, I need a budget place to stay and I'm having a little bit of a trouble, but I'm coming for X conference or my family's coming, whatever your situation is. And a lot of times the people that work at the Chamber of Commerce, A, they're happy to help a traveler, they don't get a lot of calls anymore. And B, they may know someone or a small
Right.
inn or something that new that hasn't
Right.
quite gotten up to speed as far as advertising.
And I called the Alaska the Sea Life Center in Seward today, and I should have done that. I should have asked the girl on the phone while I had her there.
Yes.
Where should I stay? Because that's the people that live there. So if you need to call someplace to get some information that you can't find, They're locals, ask them.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
have an in with somebody. You never know.
Right. Yeah, pick a day when they're not maybe as busy, it's not like a Friday night when they're obviously busy checking in people, and just ask, just call because maybe they know a friend or a relative that has an extra room and, appeal to them,
I'll have to put out something on my Facebook page to see if anybody is from Alaska and has relatives there that might rent me a room.
There you go. Yeah.
My brother's wife, my sister-in-law, I guess, her family is from Alaska, but they're from Ketchikan, so that's probably not a good place to go right now.
Oh, yeah. Probably not.
Probably not.
Well, we've talked a lot about finding affordable places to stay. So, what about other things that cost us money when we travel, like car rentals? I know I shared this recently. I like Turo,
Check that out.
Turo. I really like Turo versus Enterprise and some of the other ones simply because A, I think they are competitive on price, and B, it is kind of that peer-to-peer, which some people might not be comfortable with that, but I can honestly say, and that's why I'm sharing it, that I've used it and I've had good response. I've had good, I haven't had a problem in other words. But again, it's do your homework, look at the person's profile, how often you can read the reviews, how often have they not come through with the rental? Because on Turo, it'll tell you if they canceled X amount of days before a rental or any of that.
Well, and that's another one where you can kind of negotiate the price and get discounts. When I went to see a friend who lives in Arkansas, and it'll be different in Alaska, but my ARP discount, yes, I'm old. My ARP discount in Arkansas for the rental car was like 40%.
Oh, wow.
And it's different in different places, but ARP is really good for things like that. And I don't do Costco, but I have no idea what I have looked up in Costco. I don't know that they're really that much of a discount, but if you're I think they call it an executive member or something, that I think they get better discounts. And are there any discount clubs for rental cars?
I don't know if there's clubs unless you're like part of, like Enterprise, and they all have their own little points clubs and stuff. So if you have rented quite a bit, but I mean, like you just said, Darcie, look up things that you already belong to. Like if you're, if you're already paying for AARP or you belong to AAA, the Auto Association, a lot of times when you go in and look through, or any of your credit cards, some of the credit cards, if they offer perks that you may not be aware of.
And I think some of the credit cards have discounts on rental cars. I don't have credit cards, so I don't know.
Right. I mean, so yeah, just look through those as resources. And I think besides, I've used Turo, there's another site, it's called Get Around, and I haven't looked at exactly what areas they cover, but again, I know it's another competitor to the big car rental agencies of, again, someone's got an extra car or they want to make the extra money to pay their own, car fee. So
yeah, that's a good idea. I don't have any advice on car rentals.
that's okay.
Barbara and Debra, do you have any information on car rental discounts?
You mentioned Costco. Some years ago, a friend and I toured some national parks out west, and we checked prices, and Costco had the best deal for car rentals.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about Costco and Sam's.
Oh, nice.
So I said I would try because I have a Sam's card already. I don't have a Costco's, but I said, well, most definitely the next time I travel, I'm going to check with Sam's and see what their rates are like. I understand they have very good rates on lots of, travel avenues. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's always worth, again, it just sometimes takes a little bit of looking and that time of prepping, which I know we talk about it a lot, but that's how you're going to save money is spending a little bit more
Right.
time hunting and finding and looking. So just like the nice thing I find about Turo is as soon as I'm starting to think about going somewhere, I'll go and
Mhm.
look up that city where I'm going into and, read the cancel policy. A lot of times I can cancel maybe
Yeah.
a week or so before I'm going to go. So I might as well get that car, hold it, and then if I find something cheaper,
Mhm.
can pick
Right.
something
And the
else.
ones I was looking at in Anchorage were like Jeeps and stuff, so I can go to the places because I like dirt roads.
Right,
And most
right,
rental cars don't like you to do that. If
right.
I'm driving a Jeep, I'm going off road.
Yeah. That's a good idea to check around.
And the other thing I like about Turo is they have a very detailed listing. So they'll tell you like what are your MPGs, what are the estimated miles per gallon. So then again, if you're trying to calculate budget and money, gas becomes an issue. And if you go to the car
Yeah.
rental company, you get to the counter, and that's the most frustrating thing I found years ago is like, I already know I got a group of 6 to 8 people. I need a vehicle that's going to hold six
All
to
right.
eight people. I can't be taking a risk of showing up and them saying, oh, well, you know what, that SUV that holds 6 people, we don't have any of those left
Yeah.
right now, so you got the,
Camry.
yeah, right, you got the Camry or,
I've had
yeah,
that happen.
Yeah.
right.
Well, and if you are a business owner and you rent cars a lot, you can get a business account, and I don't really know if it's less expensive. I think they try to make you think it's less expensive, but I
Yeah.
don't know if it is. And I have someone at my local, I think it's Enterprise. They messed up a couple of my tours by giving me cars that were not appropriate for my
Mhm.
client and not what I asked for. So now the young boy that is the manager there is really trying to make sure he does things right. So I may call him and say, "Hey, do you have any connections in
Right.
Yeah,
Anchorage?"
Right. Yeah.
Use those connections. If you have
Right.
business in different places and clients,
Yeah.
don't be obnoxious about it, but you know, use your connections.
Yeah.
I know that
hmm
sounds bad.
no, no, it's
Not at
not, no,
all.
it's not at
I
all
want people
bad.
to do that with me. I mean, if someone's coming to Oregon, they don't necessarily want a tour, but they're a friend of April's, or Debra or Barbara want to come. Then use that connection. Say April
Right.
sent me or Debra sent me, and that's how we all get to know each other, and that's how we all
Right.
get to go do the fun things that we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, by all means.
I had
No.
one other thought on the cars,
On
but
the cars, yeah.
it's already gone.
Well,
It
if you're planning a trip, you can always look at places too if you're on a budget. Like, really think about, do I need a car? Like, I always tell people if
Uh-huh.
they're going to Boston or a city, sometimes you don't even need to rent a
Mhm.
car, and that
Yeah.
can be a factor in where you're choosing to go. Like, if you are going to Boston and just want to spend a week there and then tour the rest of New England, I always tell people, like, when you're in Boston, don't rent a car there. It's too expensive to park. It's
Yeah.
difficult to park and it's easy to walk or use public transportation, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, and some places have better transportation than others.
Yes.
I think Europe is better for that, in Australia. So my grandmother and I, we got the bus directly to the train,
Uh-huh.
got off the train, and stepped right on the tram to get to downtown Melbourne. And
Yeah.
around here, at least in Portland, in the metro area, it's not like that. You have to walk 6 blocks to get to the next connection. So,
Yeah.
so you do want to, and that's the other thing is if you are planning on taking public transportation, again, research, go to the websites and check out the timetables, the schedules. Some towns, probably the smaller towns, the buses probably stop running earlier in the day or in the evening, and some of them will go all night. So
Yeah. That's
that's
an
that's something you want
excellent.
to check.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. So we got rental cars, we did hotels,
Food.
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 Yes, ways to
Yeah.
save money on food. I always say, find ways to, if where you're staying, a lot of times they have a free breakfast, or
Mm-hmm.
find out if they have that little refrigerator even in the rooms. I know certain states, I find it really odd, and it must have to do with their state law or their business. They're worried about the microwave, so they don't always have a microwave
Yeah,
in
right.
every room. They might have a microwave like central for everyone to use, but for some people they need that, you need that microwave if you're going to make your your oatmeal in the morning, or just to have
Yep.
something warm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
That's very true.
well, and if you're doing a car trip, say you've had April do an itinerary for you, take food with you.
Yes.
I never travel without snacks.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And depending on where you're going, you can find what I call trail food. Huckleberries, wild raspberries, wild currants,
Mm.
blackberries. I just picked a whole bunch of pears today, and there's apples, and I call those trail food.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to know what you're looking for, but always have, especially if you have food allergies, because you
Mm-hmm.
never know where you're going to be able to find food that you can actually eat. So, and I've learned that the hard way. So I always make sure I have food with me, especially if I'm in a car. And if you're going somewhere renting a car, that's the other thing you want to check and see where there's a grocery store around that may have the type of food you want. Co-ops are really good. There's a lot of smaller towns, especially have these local co-ops that have fresh food. They have organic food. They have the gluten-free and the types of things that people like me can eat. Just go to the grocery store and stock your little mini fridge and take your food with you when you're traveling around. I mean, I like to eat out when I can. Everybody does when they're off on vacation, but that isn't always practical, and it's a really good way to save.
Oh, it's a huge way right now to save money. I was just listening to someone, um, I think her name is Susie Orman. She writes a lot about finances and advising people on finances. And like she said, even day-to-day living. I mean, it's going out to eat that's just gotten so crazy
Oh,
expensive.
yeah, it's crazy.
So if you can even kind of use that when you travel and try, find out if you're traveling. Again, I love traveling with other people. If you have that chat ahead of time, a lot of times I ask my travel companions like, "Hey, who wants to share a meal?" Because a lot of the restaurants, the portions are
It's
large,
huge. Yeah.
and if you're traveling, you can't always take it with you. Sometimes you can for a couple days. Barbara will get a laugh out of the story because she remembers that we all went. We were in Alaska, a group of us, and we did go to a restaurant. And I know that in Alaska, there's miles. There can be a lot of distances where there aren't places to shop and buy food, or a
Wow.
restaurant to eat at, or so, take some food with you. You have a vehicle. So we'd all ordered meals. We took it with us. We got to where we were staying that night, and they supposedly was on a lake. There's nothing for miles in any direction. They have a bar slash restaurant. Well, we get there and they're like, "Oh, well, the kitchen's closed," and we're like, "Excuse me?" They knew we were coming. Like, here we have a group of 6 women, and I think these big burly guys were just kind of laugh. They're to themselves like, "Ha ha," these girls aren't going to eat tonight. We turned around, went back to the van. We all brought our bags in, and we had chicken and I don't even know. Barb would have to remember. We had enough food for everybody. So
Yes, we had a real
Pretty
feast.
much.
And I've had the opposite. I've gone to places where I've gotten there and just myself and a friend, and we've gotten there kind of late, and we just closed the kitchen, but we'll make you something. That's all, and then I feel bad. So, but I had that. There's a place up here called I don't want to say Cooper's Mountain, but that's the hiking trail. But there's a ski lodge up here that is open in the summer too for hiking, and they had the best. There's some sort of a stuffed potato thing. It was really good.
Oh,
They did that. I couldn't eat anything else on the menu, so they just made me this huge thing of potatoes.
well, that sounds good. Hey,
It really was. I shouldn't have eaten. I'm not supposed to eat those either, but it's low on the list of things that I can't have. But that's there are Facebook is my go-to for everything these days. I am on a group called Gluten Free in Oregon City.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm sure a lot of other
Mhm.
places have that. So, and that's another thing is you might just be able to go onto Facebook and search for those gluten-free groups in different areas. And there's a place called, it's a website.
no, there's one that's called Hip Cow, I think.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's kind of like Yelp. Hip Cow is for restaurants. So if you have allergies or you're trying to choose to eat vegan or whatever you're choosing to do, they have a lot of different symbols on there, and I think it's called Hip Cow. I'll have to double check the.
HIP, HIP or
Yeah,
HIP?
HIP, like hip, Hip Cow.
Well, and the other one is gluten free me or
Oh,
something like
maybe
that.
there
I think
might
it's
be.
gluten free me or
Well,
something.
yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I'll have to look for some more of those. But I always tell people too, if you're traveling with other people, let them know if you've got sensitivities and again, the whole thing of ask, go online before you travel. If you're planning to travel at peak season, you might look at restaurants, especially if you have a group or even if you're with a large family, if there's 4 to 6 to 8 of you. It's amazing how often on weekends we're now into like football season, homecoming, holiday gatherings, and small towns, they have a handful of restaurants and
Mhm.
sometimes they fill up. And there's also nights where they need a break. They're going to shut down. I mean, Mondays and Tuesday nights I'm finding are sometimes difficult to
Yeah.
find places to eat.
Yeah. Happy hour is a good time.
Yes, that's a great
Yeah.
tip.
A lot of I don't know what it's like now because I haven't done this in years, but we used to go out to happy hour, not for the happy hour drinks, but for the happy hour food.
Yeah, the bite.
Right.
Mhm.
So sometimes, and I can't do that anymore because none of them have anything I can eat, but but happy hour food is a really good time because they have good stuff. They have like hamburgers and
Mhm.
French fries for $5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's true.
So that's a
No, that's a great tip. Yeah.
Yeah, it
I'm
is. Mhm.
I'm
And al-
cheap, you know.
and also look for like a lot of like grocery stores and markets, even like some of, if you're in rural areas, what looks to be like a gas station slash store, often
Mhm.
in there, go walk in there, go to the back. They'll have a sandwich counter. They're making in Alaska too, the weirdest looking places. They're making fresh sandwiches, have fresh hot soup and things to, again, take it and go. Take it with you
Mhm.
or find a nice bench and eat outside.
Yeah,
And
that's
you
true.
can, in some places, or if you're traveling, like if you're going somewhere on an airplane, there are those, they're like kind of like lunch boxes, lunch bags, but they're coolers. And you can flatten them out when you're not using it, when you take it with you. And then when you go somewhere, you can get the food and keep it warm or cold, take it back to wherever um, and then, or, drive around and have the food with you, basically have your own little picnic basket with you. But it's,
Yeah. And try to eat your larger meal,
Mhm.
earlier in the day. I know you mentioned happy hour is a great time, but a lot of places too, like their lunch menu is a lot cheaper than the
Oh,
dinner
yeah.
menu.
oh,
So find out when they stop serving quote lunch, because
Mhm.
sometimes that can be like 3 or 4 o'clock, and if you can
Yeah,
sneak
it,
in
yeah,
there,
that's neat. Yeah.
right.
go
Well, I
get.
had my dinner at 4.
Right, exactly. And for a lot of us, I mean, they say it's better to eat earlier anyways for your body. So go and order something then and maybe take an extra portion to have later in the evening if you're I'm a snacker. It seems like I'm always
Right.
eating.
You and me both. Well, and around here, and again, I don't know what it's like. Deborah, I forgot where Barbara and Deborah, I forgot where you said you were. Someone's
I'm
in
in
Midwest.
Houston.
Oh, you're in Houston, and
Uh-huh.
I'm in
Barbara,
Wisconsin.
you're in the Midwest. Well, out here, and I don't know if it's a thing there, we have food carts. We have these pods that are all different kinds of food carts. And there's one down the street from me that does all gluten-free.
Okay.
And I haven't had fried anything in years until I discovered this place. And someone actually on the gluten-free site that I was telling you about, Gluten-Free Oregon City, which, if you don't know, Milwaukee and Oregon City are not that far apart. And Oregon City is where I grew up. So I went in there last night because it's very hot today and it's going to be hot tomorrow. And I didn't want to cook. And I got chicken and fries, and he gave me, he's so nice. I'm in there a lot. He gave me extra fries, and I got 6 pieces, and they're huge chunks of chicken, and it's all fresh made. And so I had enough for last night and tonight. And food carts, a lot of times, are a really good choice. They're less expensive than a restaurant. Get a lot of food, and a lot of those little food carts, it sounds contradictory, but a lot of those food carts are fresher food than what you're getting in a restaurant. A friend of mine who actually lives in my apartment building has a little food cart up the street, and she gets everything as fresh as possible and makes fresh and local. And she's jammed all the time because her food is so good, and it's just
Right.
a little airstream.
Yeah, well, even in Europe, I was in Munich this summer, and some of the best food was off like you said, at the stands, at these small food trucks. And again, some of them don't stay open as late, but
Right.
just order, walk up and order, and then find a nice place to sit and enjoy. And that's another way to save money. Any place and in Europe, even for coffee, if do some research, because sometimes if you sit down and even drink a cup of coffee, it's more expensive than if you take your coffee to go or stand and drink it, because they know the scene is that you want to sit on their patio and people watch, which,
Yeah.
so you're going to pay for that, so.
So you're paying for the ambiance.
Right, right.
But
Well, and
like
it's
some
this,
maybe
think about it here in the United States. You're usually a place that you walk up to the counter and pay and order is a little cheaper than if you sit down and have someone wait on you. It's just gotten more expensive to pay wait staff.
And I'm going to segue into cheap things to do,
Yep.
because first, and one of the things I'm going to suggest is a lot of places around the country, and I think they're starting doing this in Europe too. Well, they do art walks, I guess, in Europe, and wine walks. But this sounds really tacky, but you go to First Fridays and things, there's almost always food, free food. There's free food, free wine, they're tasting this and tasting that. So, this sounds weird, but that's kind of an option. If you're not that hungry, you just want a snack. But it also is a cheap cheap entertainment, because they don't charge anything for First Fridays and most of the art walks.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's also like the site that's called Free Tours on Foot, which I know when I went to Europe, you take you can sign up for the tours and then tip what you want, which is a really great way to see a city. And they're a lot of times students or people that are trying to earn their tour guiding badge, because in Europe, a lot of places they actually have to be certified to lead tours and whatnot. So it's a great way to I did that in London and had some wonderful tours. It was really fun.
Yeah. And I check into meetings and meetups and Facebook groups that are in the towns. We have one called Travel Oregon that I'm a
Oh, cool. Yeah.
and a lot of the local places post, here I am, this is what I do. I have tours, or I have a hotel, or whatever. And so those local Facebook and meetup groups are a good source of information. And a lot of times they will have events or they will post events. So around here, so we have the Polish Festival coming up.
Oh, cool.
That's a lot of fun. And we have a ton of Oktoberfests that happen around here. This weekend is the state fair. That one costs money, but you know, foreigners playing tonight and I can't go.
Oh no.
Well, I would pay for the parking and the entrance fee to go see Foreigner, but it's too hot for me. I can't do it because it's outside. But there's things like in Australia they call them the show, which is basically like a county fair, and it's a small fee to get in, but they're a riot. And so that's another one where April and I keep saying research, research, research.
No, it's true. Public
Yeah.
libraries, especially in the United States, are doing a lot more than just books. I know in Las Vegas and Henderson here, our public libraries are hosting music events for free. You don't even have to have a library card. You just walk in. They're hosting like Fridays, like art events where they just want people to come and do art together, or a lot of times they have book signings, another interesting thing to do. But yeah, acoustic people playing music, all kinds of things. And
We have a
again,
lot
it's
of-
free. It's the public library, again, is just trying to get more people. So look, if you know you're going to go somewhere, look in the town and go find their public library website because they'll list a lot of those things.
Well, and if you are traveling locally and you don't have a library card, get one, because some of the libraries, and again, this is local, I don't know what it's like, they do that in Washington, Oregon, they will get you, you can get free passes to some of the museums and free passes to um, events. And that's a good way to do it. There's an event, and they changed it. It used to be in September, but I think it's in spring now, with Smithsonian, called
Oh.
Free Smithsonian Museum Day. And there's museums all over the world that participate in this. And they are absolutely free on Free Smithsonian Day. And a lot of places will have one free day a month.
Yes.
Zoos and museums, and and check your membership. So if you're a member of your local zoo, check and see if they have reciprocal. I'm going to be getting a membership to the Oregon Zoo because it gives me half off of the Seward's Alaska Sea Life. And that's a pretty good deal because then I can go to the zoo anytime I want, and I get discounts and some free entrance into other zoos and aquariums around the country.
Yeah,
That's
a great tip.
check whatever memberships you already have to see what other discounts that might be included.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. Deborah, Barb, did you have something to add? Darcie and I are-
No, I'm gonna have to drop out and go do something else. So, but I really enjoyed this, and I hope you guys get all your trips in.
Yes. Good to see you, Barb, and hope to
Thank
travel
you.
with you again soon.
Oh,
Thank
I
you
hope
for
so
being
too.
here.
Thanks, April. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I'm
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I'm going to be sending you an email if you can assist me. I want to go to Costa Rica. Have you ever been there?
I haven't been to Costa Rica, but I think Cindy has. So
Okay.
I'll connect you with Cindy because I think
Yeah.
she's been to Costa Rica. And I'm sure there's someone else I did a interview with that's been to Costa Rica. Sometimes I just have to think through my Rolodex back through
Yeah.
through the 500 episodes.
Right.
and
Right. Yeah.
I've been talking all this time. So Deborah, you have the floor.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's off the subject, but
I know.
that's what I plan on doing. Oh, I think I was thinking of it because one of my travel tips, of course, is I always start early.
Yes.
I start paying on it soon. So I plan my trip for Costa Rica. This time I want to stay for two weeks.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I've started setting my money aside. I think that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Because
that
if
is
I'm
a
going to
good
stay for
tip.
2 weeks, I'm going to need a little bit more money than
Right.
usual. So yeah, but that's what I do on all my trips is I start setting this money, especially since I've retired.
Well, it's true. I mean, stuff keeps getting more expensive, just like we were talking about. I mean,
Yes.
any way that I can save money day by day, so I have that money to do something else with, like to travel. Well,
Right.
and that can be, again, it comes down to thinking about, even like clothes. I know a lot of people like to buy something new to travel, but go to the thrift store. I mean, there's
Yeah.
great stuff at the thrift store, and that way you get the feeling of buying something quote new, but it's oftentimes a lot cheaper. There's all kinds of
Right.
selection. It's a win-win. And then go through your own closet and
Mhm.
go on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. It's amazing how much stuff I've kind of moved out with
Yeah.
eBay or Facebook Marketplace. And again, watch Facebook Marketplace. I mean, I've had some people try to scam me, or they want
Oh,
you to text you that phone number because it's some sort of scam. Just don't
yeah.
fall for any of that. There are legit people out there that still will come to your porch, pay you
Hmm.
cash, put the cash under your flower pot or whatever it is, and
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, and
Okay.
Deborah, have you heard of some of the travel? I don't know what they're called. They're like travel loan companies, Uplift, and there's more of them. Have you ever used any of those to make payments?
No, because I can always, pay myself, just set it aside in the bank.
Right.
And that's what I do. I just save a little bit extra. I may put it into my savings. Once I just set up a regular travel account, but then I realized I can just put it in my savings
Mhm. I have
and
a
then
problem. If it's
it's
in there, I
done.
spend it.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
no, see, that's the thing is I save it, save it, save it. Then I don't want to spend it.
Right,
And
right.
then my daughter gets home and she said, "Well, you started you saved it, use it." And so I have savings now. I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm just old school.
No, no, no,
Uh,
but it's good. That's
yeah, but
really
I
good.
do. I save it and then I don't want to use it, but I'm going to use it for this trip. And
Good,
I
good,
Right.
used it for
good.
my birthday.
Yay. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So,
So
so what
So
is it that
talk
you,
about Uplift, Darcie, since you brought it up.
oh,
okay.
I don't,
Have you
it's
used it?
changed. I have. I used it for the cruise that I went on a few years ago, but not this July, but I think that's the July before. Uplift is a company, or was a company, that it's, I think they might be called microloans. So
Mhm.
they have partners and you pay over time for your airfare or your cruise or your hotels. There's a lot of different aspects to it. And sometimes there's interest and sometimes there isn't.
Mhm.
Except now there always is, because a little while ago, Uplift got bought out by, instead of it being a travel company, they got bought out by a credit company.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
oh
And
wow.
Mm,
the interest rates just went sky high.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
so yeah, so if I want to do this trip to Anchorage, the interest rate is about 16%, which is
Ooh,
a lot,
ooh.
which is 10 points less than it was last time I looked.
oh,
Mhm.
yikes, though. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this credit company has discovered that people who are trying to make payments are not going to be paying 27% interest because they can't. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
point of making the payments. But there's other companies that do this. I
Mhm.
just can't think of their names off the top of my
Mhm.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is a guy that I'll have to look what his name is. He often writes about the best credit cards. He's saying too, it's like if use a credit card to your advantage, like get one that has like
No interest.
no interest, and just pay on it, but use it to your
Mhm.
advantage, because you want the
Mileage.
cat. He's saying now, like, forget about those points and miles, because a lot of the
Right.
airlines, it's not worth
They're
it.
not honoring it anymore.
They're
Yeah.
not honoring it. It's not worth,
Oh,
you're going to get a better deal just paying for the airfare. So get a cashback card that rewards you for using your card. And then, like, if you go to the grocery store, it gives you a percentage back. I know that that's what we got is we could pay for the groceries with cash, but we got a cashback card. And so it's like,
Mhm.
it's better for us. We just get a little more off and then pay the card off right away. So,
Yeah.
I don't even know where my card is. I have a card, just the one. I have an automatic in and an automatic out
oh
for
no.
one of my bills. That's it. It goes in and out. That's it. It's all automatic. I don't even know what the card is, the physical card.
And again, I think, and I'll have to look up his name, I'll include it in the show notes. It's a person too where he compares, and if you're over 55, a lot of these card companies will give you a better interest rate, or they might give you a better, a better deal on the card. There might be certain cards that are geared more to that age group. So again, it's just
Right.
reading through he has notes every month of who's offering what. So,
I
Yeah.
wonder, and as an overall thing, um, there used to be elder hostels, and now I think all the hostels are just hostels.
Yeah.
Are either of you aware of those
No,
anything like that?
I
I'm not.
think I think Elder Hostel kind of merged into something else. I'd have to look and see what it was, but
When I did a search earlier, it came up as Road Scholar, and those trips are really expensive.
Oh yeah, they are
yeah, they are expensive. They're like one of the I call them
yeah.
premium tour companies.
Boy, would I like to go on one of those though.
I mean, they have like the experts in like the, whatever it is that you're going on.
Yeah.
And that's the type of cruise and the type of tours I like to go on is the science ones. I when I called the Sea Life Center today, I asked her about that. I said, is it just like an aquarium and zoo? Is there a scientific thing? And she told me that the Alaska Sea Life Center in Seward is a research facility. So it's a lot like our Hatfield Marine Science Center that works with Oregon State University, except for they have Alaskan animals. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I've been there several times. It's a must go because of the puffins. I'll spend most of my time in the room with the puffins.
Yeah.
But then again, that's like when you're, just to backtrack for a minute about activities, that's where too, like, contacting like a place that's in that town, get on the phone with the library or the Chamber of Commerce because the locals that live there, they often know these, like, they might know the fisherman guy that, hey, he's got a boat and he'd love to take a few people out. And no, it's not, maybe the National Geographic tour, but he is a local, his knowledge of this ocean and, the coves and everything, you're going to get an amazing experience.
Right.
Right. And passes. I don't know that they do that as much here in the US, but there's passes for groups of museums and things that you can go to. And there's we were talking about travel. If you don't want to fly and you don't want to drive, there's and this is even in the US, there's train passes. You can get a pass for Amtrak. There's ways to really make it a fun trip and still save some money. Just kind of combine all these different things and do a little research and as I said, check what you already have. You may have something in your wallet that is a membership for something that you didn't know had these other benefits.
And sometimes, like with travel, if you're looking to save money, but you really, you just need to go somewhere. I mean, sometimes it's being flexible, which, depending on your work situation or the city that you're in, sometimes there's differing degrees of flexibility, as I like to say. But even this weekend for Labor Day, like airlines like Avalo, Fly Frontier, I mean, $29 flights between certain cities. So again, if you're able to travel light, which I was looking at my backpack today, I'm like, you know what? who needs a bunch of changes of clothes? Like, yeah, I could do this. So,
Clothes. I'll just run around naked.
yeah, well, I'll just wear my one set of clothes. I mean, layer your stuff that you need
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and
Wear,
one
wear,
change of
four, wear
clothes.
4 shirts and 3 sweaters on the airplane.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. I've heard of people doing that.
Well, even the same outfit. I mean, honestly, it's like, who else is going to be
Who
paid?
know?
Who's going to know? I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
even your travel companion, if you're able to go
No.
from Portland to Vegas for 19, $20, I mean, it might be,
Mm-hmm.
then you can have a
Yeah.
weekend away and do some free
Right.
things. And
And you mentioned this one airline before, and I've never heard of them. Avalo?
Avelo, yeah, Avelo, Avelo Airlines, and they have kind of an East Coast area that they service. They
Oh,
definitely have a West Coast area though too. Like,
they do.
yeah, because Vegas, they go Vegas to Bend, Oregon, Vegas to Seattle, I think, Vegas
Yeah.
to Sonoma. So, I
Oh,
mean,
so it's based in Vegas.
no, I don't know that it's based in Vegas. It's just they have certain
That's
routes.
a hub.
I live in Vegas, so I'm always
Yeah.
looking, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, when you said the 29, I was like, oh, I can go down and see April.
Yeah.
We can meet
Well,
in
and then there's
person.
like Frontier Airlines. I actually
Yeah.
used
I
them.
haven't heard not heard good things about that.
Yeah, it wasn't the most comfortable, but again, if you're not having to, if you're only going for a
Right.
couple of hours, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
again,
It's a
it's just,
great airline.
Oh,
yeah,
is it? Okay.
yeah, I didn't actually mind it. You've got Allegiant Air. They often have, again, they fly certain,
And Allegiant
Spirit. I mean, even
Spirit.
Spirit, you just have to look. I mean, they're not going to maybe fly out of your city that's closest to you every day, like Avalo. It doesn't fly out of Vegas every day. It may only go to
Right.
Oregon maybe Tuesdays and
Connections. Yeah.
Saturdays or something. But again, flexibility, sometimes we have to. There's a new one I heard for Europe, and well, there's a couple. I mean, again, some of those European carriers, and I'd have to look. I saw one that's, I want to say it was Vegas to London for under $200. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa, that is
I'll do
Yeah.
that.
incredible.
Well, I'm planning on going to the Donegal. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
Ireland. I'll just say Ireland is easier. Next year.
Oh, awesome.
So we'll see how that happens. But
Yeah,
night
so
train.
sometimes it's just, and on holiday weekends, especially, that's when a lot of times these airlines throw out these deals. And so even if you're out doing something else, if you can plan ahead and look at your dates and go, you know what, I want to go, be flexible,
Mhm.
you might find yourself a decent deal.
And for some people, and I was going to bring this up earlier and I forgot, but I'm not really into cruises. A short one would be okay. But a lot of people love the cruises because
Mm-hmm.
everything's included. And
Right.
I think you know, look them up a little bit, but you know what? For me, the easiest way to do the cruise was I have a couple of friends that are travel agents, and I just finally got frustrated and I called Emily and I said, "Here, you do it." She got me the airfare, the hotels, and the cruise. I
Oh,
said,
wow.
okay, fine, you just do it. And so that's how and I ended up in Rome, right in the middle of all the good stuff within walking distance. Had they had street signs?
Oh, nice.
There's
Cool.
no street signs. You don't know where you are.
Oh, no.
It's a little difficult, but and I think the U.S. and let me know if you think this is something that you agree with. Is I think the U.S. can take a few pointers from Europe on the tourism thing. We do have some places that have the hop on, hop off buses now, which is a really good way for tourists to get around and
Yeah.
see stuff.
Yeah.
And I think we need to improve our transportation systems. So like we have the MAX trains and the buses, you need to be able to get to them easier without walking 6 blocks and waiting an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
It's
the
easier.
United States just doesn't quite have the same mass transit
Right.
infrastructure in many cities. I mean, Los Angeles, especially, I mean, for people that fly into LAX, I mean, the train does not, the trains and buses do not, again, like you said, Darcy, you're going to have to walk to even then get to a bus or a train.
And they're
And
done that.
yeah, it's not so fun. So
Yeah, but and you know they just have a lot more infrastructure for their tourism industry, and because we're a new country. I mean, relatively, some of the places I visited were thousands of years old, and you know, but when you think about the history of our country, we really are thousands of years old, and we need to capitalize without extorting. No, that's not the word I want. Capitalize on our history and the Native American history and everything that Oregon, I'm back on my own tours, everything that the US has to offer without exploiting, if that makes any sense. There needs to be a balance between exploitation and just showing people what all the cool stuff is that we have here, like your New England trips with the fall leaves, and my Columbia River Gorge tours.
right. Yeah, exactly.
There's so much here.
Yeah, there is a lot here. So again, picking a city that you haven't been to by picking a cheap airfare, sometimes it's a great way to get away for a few days and do something that's affordable, or take a road trip, or just doing some planning. So we are at 90 minutes, so I think we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask Deborah another question about her
Okay.
trip to Costa Rica.
Mhm.
What instigated the wanting to go to Costa Rica, and what is it that you are looking to do when you were there? Is it animals? Because I think they have a lot of birds or something. I don't know anything about it. History. What is your interest in Costa Rica? Costa Rica.
Well, it's one of the safest places to go.
Oh,
I looked at the housing. It's affordable for the 2 weeks that I want to stay. There are some things, sightseeing, a little bit of sightseeing there. The beach. I love the beach. Yeah. So that was, of course, I saw it on House Hunter. House Hunters International. I know that there are a lot of people moving there for retirement, or just for just to have a slower pace of life. So that was my interest. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
all
just
right.
curious.
Yeah.
All right, Darcy.
I
All
want
right.
All right, Darcy, let everyone know your website, since you do tours in Oregon, and if people are looking to go to that area, they can reach out to you.
It's Get Out of Town Tours
Uh-huh.
on Facebook, and I do Oregon and Washington small group tours that are completely tailored and private and personalized. So you can find me on Facebook at Get Out of Town Tours. It's at symbol thing, Oregon Tour Guide, or Get Out of Town Tours at yahoo.com is my email.
Great.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. And of course, this is the Travel Collective, and this is April with your photo travel guide. So thanks everyone for another great evening. I'll put a bunch of links in the show notes for
Yeah.
all of these great budget tips. And thank you everyone for joining me tonight. So have a good
Thank
one.
you. And send me the information, April.